Hi guys, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be playing Tiny Bunny. We speak English. It's going to be my third time recording it because the recording failed the first two times, so like they say though, third time's the charm. Look, it's an owl. This is a visual novel, so I will be doing some personal voice acting, although my voice is not as melodious as I would hope. You guys are just going to have to settle for it. Get closer to the microphone. The wind clawed at my window all night long. It wandered the fields and howled like a hungry beast. An endless song weaved from all sorts of voices, shrill, gentle, sneery, twined in the air. They were shouting and laughing, and arguing about something. Someone was running through the snow while casting long shadows that would occasionally creep close to my bed. Oh, look, you can see a fox forming in the window. Our house had a mind of its own, the creaky old mind of a building that had seen a lot in its days, and was seemingly trying to share its wisdom with the inhabitants. Okay, let me, oop. Alright. The lonely house faced the forest, and the dark green thicket gazed back with its hollow eyes, rustling, whizzing, swaying back and forth. One could come out and stand at the edge of the forest to reassure themselves. There was nobody behind the crooked trees. Fuzzy silhouettes swaying in the wind couldn't possibly do any harm. It's just a play of light and shadow. Just a play. I knew it was just my imagination. I was already 12 after all. Still. Oh my goodness. Annabelle, edit out the part with Jaquavius in it too. If you ever hear Jaquavius' voice ring into this microphone, you edit it out. Trust me. Hey, put away your book, young man. How many times have I told you not... Yeah, edit that out. How many times have I told you not to read at the table? It's bad for your health. Look at how slouched you are. Uh-oh, I got in trouble for reading? That's new for me, actually. I didn't protest, and I put the book about Conan the Barbarian aside. I was stuck on a line I couldn't understand, and after reading it 3 times anyway. Olia had finished her breakfast and was munching on some cookies. She was so enthusiastic she almost looked like your typical girl from the commercials. You're not going anywhere till you finish all of it. I, on the other hand, was still trying to drill a hole in the plate with my eyes, as if it would make the porridge disappear. Hazy anxiousness welled up inside, all because of my previous sleepless night, the black forest around our house, and the gloomy wind. The longer I waited, the colder the lumpy white substance became. It looked like a jellyfish from the Cousteau Odyssey. I love that show. Wonder how horrifying the bottom of the ocean is. Or how cold the black forest is at night. The spoon fell out of my hand. Mom showered me with a cold glare from her green eyes. What did I just say? I'll get it. I had 10 seconds to catch my breath before battling the nasty porridge once again. I felt around for the spoon. What is this carved on the other side of the table? Karina. Hey, that's my mom's name. Guess she carved it out with something pointy when she was little. She sure was a rascal damaging furniture like that. Oh, you dog. You're not supposed to write on the table with a screwdriver. She would scold me for a week if I did something similar, though. Should I remind her about it? No, she's been in a bit of a bad mood lately. Oh, that's not good. I'm sorry, Antone. I imagine her being my age, sitting under this table. I wonder, was Mom afraid of the dark back then? It's a little racist, don't you think? Y'all live in Russia. But you should be more accepting, Antone. More accepting. You gotta celebrate the differences we share, not exclude them. Or the sounds coming from the attic. Or the thick forest. I imagine my grandma coming into my little mom's room, sitting at the edge of her bed, where Olia sleeps nowadays, and saying this in her soft, smooth voice. Taiga is a special place, little girl. It's watching you closely, sniffing you out. trying to discern what kind of beast you are. If you're a good sort, it won't abandon you in times of trouble. But if you're a bad apple, it'll grab you by the side and drag you under the ground. And that would be it. Grandma was caring. She never fought with anybody, never yelled, never swore. Those were the times without the maddening screams until late at night, without smashed dishes and mutual accusation. Okay, buddy. Uh, we're cutting out like these types of parts where it goes a little too far into this the I just don't want that. I remember listening in on one of their conversations by chance. They were talking about Grandma getting prepared for her funeral. She had already bought a casket, and she called it her cute funeral box. It waited for its time in the closet patiently. It was black, upholstered with meat-colored material on the inside. I saw it when my grandma was getting buried. The house didn't change much since the time she was alive. Only all of the photos were gone. Glass covered pictures with gray faces of my ancestors. They all had a dead but watchful look in their eyes. I crawled out from under the table. Olia was done with her cookies and was looking at my share like a sly woodland critter. I turned my gaze toward the frosted window. There were a lot of dark pines outside, but they didn't grab my attention. The pattern of frost formed a picture on the glass. Olia, look, it's a fox! Where? It looked like it looked almost like those optical illusion things they put on the back of student notebooks. Sorry guys, you're gonna have to excuse my Olia voice. My voice is kind of too deep, and my voice will crack if I try to go too high, and so I can't really mimic a 6-year-old girl's voice unless that 6-year-old girl is like a tank. Like, not Olia, actually. A mixture of lines at first glance, but if you blur your vision a little bit and look under a certain angle. Not outside, on the window. Look, here's the nose and here's... Hey, eat up, young man. Yes, yes, just a moment. I don't see anything. Hurry up, there's not much left. Ah, there it is. But it still doesn't look like one. And I'm telling you, it does. Nuh-uh. It does. Stop it. These kids, I swear. Now I couldn't see the fox either. It disappeared. Went away. Only the frosty pattern, similar to stretched out nettle leaves, kept creeping up the glass. My dad entered the kitchen with long measured steps. I want to have a beard like his when I grow up. Wow. My mom would always ask jokingly, come on, shave it off, it stings. I always caught every sound of in fear of hearing the most dreaded, the deadliest word that started with a D. Dynamite gal, yeah, that's what, oh, that doesn't spell dynamite gal, actually, the D-I-V-O. Devon, you're scared of Devon. I don't even want to finish it, yeah, no. Devon is a frightening young chap, I would say. It was scary to imagine that me and my little sister could be torn apart and taken into two different... Devon would not do that to you and your sister. He's not that violent. He's not gonna rip you two in half. He might pump you full of lead if you cross him, though. Anyway, your fox is nothing. I have an... Oh, wait. Anyway, your fox is nothing. I have an owl on my window. You and your owl talk again. You said you believed me just yesterday. Antone, stop making a martyr of yourself and finish eating already. But the owl. There was no owl. But there was one. It had giant glowing eyes. Olia sprung up from the chair and placed her hand on her little face, imitating a pair of eyes with her fingers the size of an apple each. Last year you had Babai in your closet, and now this owl? Babai, in Slavic folklore, a nocturnal spirit used by parents to threaten their ill-behaving children. But I saw it! Olia shifted her gaze back and forth from Dad to Mom to me, but couldn't find any support. Have you thought about befriending it? You know, like feeding it with imaginary mice. Don't bully our girl. She's just afraid to sleep alone because she's still little. That's an L excuse, bro. That is an L excuse right there, just because they're little. Can't sleep alone. I slept alone when I was a baby. I had a crib. You know what? Disgraces. Olia pouted her lips in rebellion and rushed into the hallway. The staircase that led to the second floor creaked. Mom gave Dad a strict look. Oh man, you're on thin ice, bucko. Thin ice. Oh, that look in her eyes. It's so uncomfortable to be pinned under it. Dad just snorted in reply and left, ringing with the keys he just found. A minute had passed and the theme song from Little Mermaid echoed through the house. What are you looking at, lady? The number 7. I know it's pretty despicable, but you don't want to stare at it too long. You might hurt your eyes. It was stored on an incredibly worn out cassette tape, which Dad had already had to glue together once. It's so easy to fix objects by gluing them back together, for example, but how do you fix a relationship? Mom moved to the living room and I was left alone, anxiously stealing glances at the window. Olia had trouble sleeping ever since we moved to this house. She would toss and turn, or curl up into a ball under her blanket. Sometimes she would jump up in the middle of the night and turn on the VCR. Cartoons helped her take her mind off all the troubles we had with the move and our parents. Oh, that's a big owl. And then Olia said she saw a giant flying monster outside her window. She became obsessed with it. Our parents did everything in their power. They tried every little trick to get rid of those ridiculous fears. Olia refused to sleep alone and didn't believe the owl was just one of her nightmares. After last night, I was unsure what to make of my sister's words, what to think of it myself. Can nightmares be infectious? That night I couldn't get a wink of sleep and ended up thinking of what to expect from my new school. There were a couple of days left before the beginning of a new term. My imagination drew long, twisting hallways that led to a classroom full of kids, but all the students behind their desks were simply dark figures cut out using a template. Circular holes gaped in the middle of their faces, and pairs of eyes blinked inside those holes. It was as if some completely different creatures were looking at me from behind flat black silhouettes. You know, none of my classmates actually ever looked like this. I'm not gonna lie. Usually, they had eyes, and they weren't all like laughing at me. Like some don't even laugh with their mouth open. They're just bouncing. They're like, How do you do that? Anyways, their cruel glares filled with icy sneers made me shiver from head to toe. Oh goodness. I'm a tad sickly, fellas. Just a tad though. I can make it through this video. Will I survive here? Won't they gang up on me and beat me down? Stomp on me with their bloodied shoes? The damn school can burn for all I care. I just wish for anything to happen to it. Doesn't really matter what. I didn't want to go there that badly. I didn't want to see people who were just itching to smack me on the head, trip me up, think of a new offensive name for me, worse than the previous one. I felt like the glasses I wore made me an outsider or some sort of monster. Glasses are pretty common in today's world. I don't know, Antone. I haven't met many people, like, even willing to go out of their way to bully someone for having something that almost everybody has. It's like a lion on the back of my trophy. Okay. My gaze slid across the drawings hanging on the walls. I couldn't consider myself a great artist, but Olia begged me to hang them. Drawing was the only thing that made me happy as of late. The small circle of friends I had also enjoyed my paintings, and they promised to call me from time to time. Sometimes I imagine Mom picking up the phone and saying in a cold voice, "You got the wrong number." Or, "Antone is not around." Antone is not around. I imagine my future classmates lying in their bed, just like me, listening to the howls of invisible werewolves outside their windows. Maybe my new classmates will like me after all. But who would ever like a boy with thick glasses? I'm pretty sure your glasses are not the problem, Antone. You just gotta step up for yourself. Be more confident. I mean, my dad used to wear glasses when he was little, and now he's married to... Okay, the glaze is crazy, bro. The glaze is insane. The house creaked, pressed by the wind. Condo we used to live in, a 9-floor concrete building, buzzed with the neighbor's drill, mumbled with a TV set from behind the wall, cried like a baby from the big family next door. Our current house, though I can't really call it new, was completely different. It was silent and easygoing during the day. Its shadows lay dormant in the corners on the closet, cobwebs, and under the stairs. But they all woke up during the night. Something was watching me from every corner, almost as if the old photos of my deceased family with their ashen eyes were hanging on the walls in place of my drawings. The floor was squeaking, rusty drains were moaning. The attic was occupied by noisy drafts. One could think the house was performing some sort of demonic melody. And then I realized I was in fact hearing music. It was already playing for a good while. Somewhere at the edge of my perception, I could hear a flute. Yo, W, I play the flute actually. I'm not one to brag, but I'm pretty good at the flute, guys. I mean, maybe I couldn't be considered good for how long I've been playing it, but you know, I try. I'm a very diligent worker when it comes to practicing my flute, and yeah, I can play a few songs. They're pretty good. It was mixed in with the sound of the wind of the creaking old house, and my thoughts too. I stood up and rushed to the window. I wanted to reassure myself that this music was nothing more than a product of my imagination. Okay, buddy. You're turning down a glorious performance. They're sitting outside playing the flute just for you, and you're scared that they're doing it. You're scared that it's your imagination. I'd be scared that it was my imagination too. That nobody really took the time to go outside my house and play a flute in the middle of the night. It's not like someone is playing it there amidst the cold, snowy night, right? Alright, let's take a look-see. Let's take a gander. Go. Someone was dancing in the field. Interpretive dancing, Anton. They're going the extra mile for you, buddy. Black silhouettes I could barely make out with the dark forest as their backdrop. They jumped around, basked in the moonlight, bumped into piles of snow, rolled around, and crawled on all fours. Some fascinating interpretive dancing, Anton. Stories about wolves playing under the moon came to mind, but these were clearly not wolves. They stood upright at times, circled around holding hands and whipping up snow, disappearing into the shadows for a brief moment and then coming back. Something bizarre was going on. Shadows dancing in the starless abyss made my imagination go wild, making me anxious at the same time. Suddenly the music had stopped. Antone, they can smell how much of an ingrate you are. Like they can smell it from that distance. They went out of their way to do a little performance for you. And you're just like fucking scared? Well, what's wrong with you? The dancing shadows froze in place, and I could swear pierced me with their eyes. Yeah, they know what you are, Antone. One of the silhouettes immediately parted from the bizarre shadow carnival and sprinted across the field with giant leaps. Oh, he's coming to make sure you say thank you. It glided on squeaky snow without leaving any prints until it was devoured by the pitch black shadow of my house, which became even darker and thicker. My heart was jumping around like a bird inside a cage. Oh, he was grateful the whole time. He's excited to meet one of the performers. I shut the curtains with a swift motion and stepped back toward the bed. They saw me. A freezing torrent of fear washed over me. I stood in the middle of a perfectly dark room, and I listened to some unwanted guest move and scrape around looking for an entrance. The sound moved to the right, then circled around the house. Now my guest should be at the front door. I jumped into the bed and covered myself with a blanket, as if it could protect me. The shackles of fear locked my muscles. I remember the funeral, my grandma lying there, hands crossed on her chest, her facial features sharp like that of a tin doll. Ants running up and down the legs of the chairs that held my grandma's casket. I imagined those little creatures climbing up her head and pulling up her eyelids with their tiny legs. Then her wrinkly eyeballs would once again move inside their sockets, and she'd be able to see her grandchildren. That's a nice thought, Antone. That's a nice thought. I was chanting the spell she taught me throughout the whole procedure, and now, lying under the bed and listening to squeaks and howls, I was repeating the same words. On the island of Bouillon, underneath the blemished sun, in the sea of color blue, stands a cabin made of wood. There lay lard and ash and hair for the spawn from devil's lair, to feast and always leave alone God's faithful servant named Antone. Evil leave this house must, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. The bizarre sounds had disappeared. See, Antone, it worked. I wish I had a W grandma like yours teaching me spells, how to stop the bad guys. Although I don't know why you didn't want to meet the performer. That seemed like an opportunity, Antone. You could have taken it. Anyways, I cautiously peeked out from under the blanket and saw curtains waving around like a hanged man. And then the night doused me with a new portion of boiling terror. The sound scratched at my eardrums. In reality, something or someone were scratching at the front door, hurriedly clawing at the wood, demanding to be let in. The door was shut. The performer's trying to say hi, be nice. Dad had become very cautious recently, so he installed a sturdy lock. I remember him staring at the forest intently, as if he was looking for someone. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I hugged my knees, placing my chin between them, and drilled the floor with my eyes. It was so flimsy and weak before the might of the darkness. And then the doorknob twitched slightly. Then it turned halfway, once, twice, as if the person who tried to enter had no hands. It's unfortunate, and do not make fun of them for not having hands, Antone. The doorknob tilted once more and then started clicking violently. My jaw cramped from fear. My wet fingers clutched under the blanket. The door creaked and opened, and the wind taunted me, moaning inside the tin drains. Now, you'll see. The door was wide open. The darkness writhed inside the carnivorous mouth of a doorway. Tosha! It was as if the night itself was calling out to me, flapping its black wings and squeaking with rusty hinges. Very clearly, you're making fun of this guy's voice, and it's not nice. I was trembling, ensnared by the web of darkness that hung in the corners of the room, waiting for the one who weaved it to come out of the gaping black hole. Tony! My abdomen tightened and my chest rose up, ready to exhale a desperate scream. But before I was able to do anything, the darkness asked me, Tosha, you asleep? My sister's pale face. I almost screamed from relief. Olia, I'm not sleeping. Did something happen? Olia frowned and stuck out her lower lip, a clear sign she was about to cry. It's there again, staring at me. Shoo her away, please, Tosha. Please. I'm so scared. Oh, boo-hoo-hoo. Like, you've got a magical owl in your window, and you're not trying to be pals with it. You're not going outside like it wants you to. Gee whiz, Olia. The fear that was tormenting me just a minute ago crawled away and hid somewhere in my stomach. I needed to calm Olia down. It was just a dream, silly. Don't be scared. Dreams don't bite. No one's going to harm you. Olia sobbed. She was trying her best to believe me. But was I sure myself? I have an idea. Let's go to your room and watch the video Sleeping Beauty, for example. You like that cartoon, don't you? Why does the Sleeping Beauty have a prince and I have this scary bird? The bird is better than any prince, Olio, believe me. Anyways, that question took me by surprise. As a man myself, I can say that bird is way better. Alright, let's watch Cinderella. My thoughts became tangled, fuzzy, What was that? It studied me with its eyes while dancing feverishly under the moon. The darkness was clinging to the window, and it couldn't be fooled by Grandma's old chants. It couldn't be satisfied with a feast of lard and long ashen hair. Tosha, you coming? Yes, yes, just a moment. Oh, it got you. It got you. It definitely got you. I saw that. You were shaking in your boots. Yeah, it shivered your timbers, it did. Oh, you had a bad dream. Quite a fright, didn't you, Antone? That's why I didn't want to laugh at Olia and her owl in the morning. Who could be visiting us here in the middle of nowhere? We don't know anyone around here. So persistent, I felt extremely unsettled just from a silly thought that our morning guests could have come from the woods. I could barely hear voices coming from the front door. My mind was urging me to hide. In the closet, under the table, behind the curtains where Olia always hides. Tosha, come here! I felt like kettlebells were tied to my feet, but still dragged them toward the hallway. Kinda sauce, Antone. For some reason, I thought of the forest swaying in the wind. Oh, goodness. What did his poor parents feel? And what would my parents do if I'd gone missing? Would they cry and thrash around hysterically? Would they accuse each other like they always do and forget about me eventually? Mom, this Vova, did he go missing in our forest? Seems like it. Poor child. I looked out the window at the road. The police UAZ drove off toward the village. UAZ, a Soviet and Russian off-road freight passenger car brand which was produced in the Ulyanovsk car factory. I have no idea how that's pronounced. The police UAZ drove off toward the village. The officer's nephew came to mind when I was splitting off old paint from the windowsill. I remembered all the teenage mystery novels from the Black Kitty series I've read this summer. Black Kitty, a series of contemporary Russian, original, or translated teen mystery books. Your average boys and girls investigated all sorts of mysteries here. They looked for clues, spied on suspicious people, and after a set of amazing adventures, bam, solved any complicated case. They became local celebrities and must have made their parents very proud. I noticed a trail of policemen's footprints that led to the forest. And then it clicked in my head. Why don't I start an investigation of my own? Maybe I'll find that lost boy, and I'll get a reward. Olia will be so happy. Not only Olia, Mom and Dad too. Maybe they'll even forget about their quarrels for a while. Maybe they'll even save us from Devon. I fantasize about buying Olia Tamagotchis are absolute peak, bro. I love my Tamagotchi. And getting a cassette player and a bunch of tapes for myself. And a whole box of Kinder Surprise. Kinder Surprise is pretty bussin', bro. When was the last time our parents bought us any toy? Last autumn, I think my dad lost his job at the time. There's an annoying song about it. Accountant, a song by an all-female Soviet pop brand by the name of Kombinatsia that became widely popular in the early 90s. Okay. Tell me there's a song about how your father lost his job. That's not good. Antone, you should probably tell people to stop singing songs about your father losing his job. It's not good. I had little to no idea what was the accountant's job like. They count money, I think. Neighbors used to envy us. And nowadays, Mom and Dad barely had money to afford sweets, and Dad would always divide a single chocolate bar between me and Olia. Sometimes I gave her my share too. No matter how much I wanted to eat sweets, she was still just a pipsqueak. Yeah, you put her in her place, bro. Pipsqueak. I should start calling my siblings that. That would be peak. Couldn't wait to go out looking for clues. I'm going outside. Yeah, right, young man. You can't go. You want the police to go around with your photograph next? This forest is so thick. What if the boy got snatched up by wild animals? Or something even worse? Even worse echoed through the hallway. I won't go far. I'll stay away from the forest. Did you hear what I said, or should I repeat myself? Better go pack up your school bag or play with Olia. The sound of splashing water came from the kitchen. I need to get the detective achievement. It meant that the argument was over and Mom had the last word. Everything here too. I opened the front gate and went into the field, carefully so Mom wouldn't see me from the window. When I crossed half the distance toward the forest, the snow piles became as high as my knees. I remembered my nightly fears. I saw those silhouettes around here. They were jumping around, holding hands. That hypnotizing music started playing in my head all on its own. In the light of day, those distant figures felt like a simple dream. The sun turned my nightmares to ash, but the aftertaste was still there. Distant ringing in my ears, distorted shadows crawling on the snow alongside me, and a barely audible whisper in my head, blurry and almost kind. This is a very descriptive game. I will say I like it. Dry, prickly branches intertwined, bringing up uncomfortable thoughts about fences. Were they protecting the forest? Or were they keeping something from breaking out? They know the American way. You stay off my land, or you're never leaving. Some object was hanging from one of the pointing branches. I tried to get closer, drowning in snow. When I almost got to the edge of the forest, I saw a knitted mitten. It looked like a wounded bird among the hungering semi-dark. Should I take it to the police? The senior officer looked gloomy, but he still reminded me of Captain Casanova from my favorite TV show called The Streets of Broken Lights. You know, I don't care about your favorite TV show, Anton. I'm sorry, buddy. He was always so anxious with a tired look in his eyes, but still brave and strong. Will this mitten help them find the lost boy? Vova! I heard a distant shout. It looked like it came from the river. Vova! As if the trees were calling out to somebody. Vova resounded closer to me. Someone was standing there, behind the trees, hiding. Vova! I knew someone was looking for the lost boy, but still, something was unsettling about that figure. Its stillness, how it was bent unnaturally toward the ground, its blackness. Okay, Antone, we need to get you some help, buddy. You can't be saying these things. My God, Antone. I told you not to do this, buddy. Don't be fucking racist. I can't believe you. There's no one there, it's just branches and roots. Okay, buddy, you need some help, Antone. It's all just my imagination. A nearby bird flapped its wings loudly. A shadow split from the tree and disappeared from my sight. Looked away for just a moment, but when I turned my gaze back to the same place, it was gone. So it was just my imagination after all. Silence reigned for a painfully long time. Okay, we're skipping. Okay, we're taking the mitten. Okay, stop skipping. The roars were coming from all directions now. From the dried raspberry bush, from the twisted pines, from under the windfall. Hurry, run, don't look back. It felt like I was inside a nightmare. I skipped like 10 seconds, gee whiz. The snowy clearing became like viscous like quicksand. I was stuck in place. I pulled my leg from the mushy trap just to be caught in a new one, even deeper than before. That's because you're short. I continued to drown, sinking deeper and deeper with every desperate push. Was snow ever this sticky? I screamed in horror, realizing this wasn't snow. Someone or something in the snow pile was clutching my pants. I gathered up all my strength and rushed forward. Pressure on my leg was gone. My boot slipped out from the hole, and my soles were on a hard surface again. I reached a clear path with one jump, and from there ran to my house. Its gloomy facade didn't look threatening now. The house was my line of defense from the shadows that flapped their wings, and the creatures that were hidden under the snow. Tripped over the doorstep and smashed into the door. In all my hurry, I still managed to notice the claw marks, as if a dog was striking the wood with its paws, demanding to be let in. so it could escape the cold. I had noticed these marks when I was leaving. The heartbeat in my ears was much louder than my surroundings. I couldn't hear whether someone was following me or not. What if they were already in our front yard and Mom had locked the door? Drowning in fear, I pulled on the doorknob, and it obediently gave way. I rolled into the hallway and shut the door behind me. Porch planks creaked as my pursuers ascended the stairs. My fingers slipped off the lock, and I couldn't click it into place. I gritted my teeth and pulled hard on the iron knob, whipping it between the boards. I stared blankly at the door. Someone was standing on the other side of the pitiful, flimsy barrier. That was probably less useful than blankets. Wheezing breath reached into the house and crashed at me in waves. It smelled of pine and sweat. Mom peeked out of the kitchen and chastised me with the same frigid voice she always used when talking to Dad. What exactly didn't you understand when I told you never to slam the door? I didn't mean to. I snuck a glance at the door. The smell was gone, and the breath was too. There was someone there in the first place, of course. Here, mere 5 meters away from Mom, my fear was slowly weakening, melting like snow in spring. And with the last bit of strength, I left my body too. My legs gave way. I propped myself up against the wall so I wouldn't fall over. Mom's expression had changed immediately. The cold mass of strictness and detachment was gone. I looked the same as before all those quarrels. Finally, I saw my condition, my wet hands plastered with snow. Where have you been? What have I what did I tell you? I told you to stay home. Am I nothing to you too? I got afraid she would cry. I reached out to her like when I was very little and went, okay, buddy. But Mom regained her composure fast and put on her usual face. Her eyes shined like steel. Her voice rang out. Your dad can't find his cigarettes. Be honest, did you snatch them? Or were you smoking in secret? There was something chasing me, I thought. I stuttered as soon as I started explaining myself. Tears welled up in my eyes. Mom leaned toward me and sniffed my clothes like a beast, searching for the smell of tobacco. Then she squinted her eyes in suspicion and looked into the front yard. Her expression changed in an instant when she covered her mouth with a hand. Look over there at the fence. My heart started thumping as if I became prey once again and my pursuers were following me in the field. I could swear that I've heard something scratch at the door, just like in my nightmare. Mom beckoned me with her finger, and I gathered all my remaining bravery to look into the kitchen window, facing my fear. I could barely discern some hairy silhouettes swimming in the snow, through the icy patterns on the glass. Dogs. It's a small pack of strays with no name and no owner, barely reminding me of hungry monsters that live on the edge of the forest. Oh boy, were you scared of them? I think they'd rather be scared of you, Antone. They were chasing me, like a bunny. Antone, were they chasing you like a tiny bunny, perhaps? And what if they're rabid? The smile had slowly disappeared from Mom's face. Now she looked at the dogs as if it was her first time seeing them. What if they attack Olia? Mom? I wish your dad could just shoot them all. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Antone's right here. Look, they're alive, lady. Don't. Huh? What? Are they your friend or foe after all? Make up your mind, young man. Not a little kid anymore. Mom sighed in annoyance, and I felt so bitter that I bit my lower lip and fixed my gaze on the cobweb-ridden corner just to keep myself from crying. Well, some detective I am. In reality, I wasn't risking my life among monsters, but rather my pants among a pack of stupid strays. And what for? What use do I have for this mitten? Of course, dark and sticky mitten that belonged to the lost boy made a squishy sound in my hand. Seems like I was clutching it the whole time. It's my trump card as a detective. I hurried to present this clue to my mom. Mom, look at Zvolva's mitten. That boy the police were asking about in the morning? It's drenched in blood. I found it hanging on a tree. I can show where. Let's call the police right away, like the officer had told us to. Looks like ketchup, bro. Maybe soy sauce? Waste the soy sauce. That's what I tell you. Mom, look. Ew. Why is it covered in soy sauce? Shadow of doubt slowly crept onto Mom's contorted face, as she was trying to remember something distant. Like someone tries to remember their dream, but the image slips away. Stop at this moment, young man. Olia will go insane if she hears you. She already has trouble sleeping and whines all the time. And you joke around like this? At that moment, I realized the mitten was actually wet from snow. Antone, are you schizophrenic? There was no blood whatsoever. I wanted to sink through the floor from embarrassment. Come here, my boy, who cried Wolf. Oh, don't just stand there. Come here and take your... I knew it. Mr. Schizophrenia right here. He's got to take his pills. Golden-colored pill, reminiscent of a dead wasp, fell into my palm. I already took one during breakfast. Don't talk over me. Oh, you're on thin ice, mister. I told you to stay home and Dad would have given you a good whipping for that. Come on, take it, or you won't be able to sleep at night, and you have school tomorrow. So I had to swallow the bitter medication. Drinking it down with similarly awful water gave off a taste of chlorine. Maybe it wasn't Vova's mitten. Maybe it wasn't a mitten after all. Just like the forest monsters and Olia's owl. Am I going mad? What's happening to me? Either the pill had an immediate effect, or my overexerted brain didn't let fear inside anymore. Serenity washed over me, bringing yawny indifference along with it. Antone, you done? See, you can do it when you try. Take off your coat. Are you asleep? No, Mom, I was just thinking. What about, I wonder? It's just something silly. Mom scrutinized me with suspicious eyes, as if she wasn't sure she was looking at her own son, and not some doppelganger that came from the forest. Is everything all right? He had the exact same expression when the policeman asked you about the window. I'm all right, Mom. She heaved a deep sigh. Fine. It seemed like the house had changed. Sofa's fabric had become discolored. Fingerprints appeared on the bathroom tiles. Light bulbs also felt different, dimmer, and yellower. Even the saliva inside my mouth had a different taste. Melody from Aladdin could be heard on the upper floor. Julia was done rewatching her favorite Little Mermaid episodes and switched to other tapes. I slowly walked, changed into my home clothes, stopped before the sink, and studied my reflection in the mirror, like I was trying to solve one of those spot the difference puzzles. Then I went upstairs. Jafar and Iago's voices died down. I walked past Olia's bedroom and slipped into my own. I noticed there was someone behind the curtains. My tired hands dropped to the sheets, whether it was due to medication. The room began to contort as if the wind was blowing the walls out like a pair of sails. The corner of the room bent and undulated. The only stable thing in the whole room was the figure between the windowsill and the curtains. A flimsy piece of cloth was stuck to my hidden visitor. It reminded me of burial sheets. Olia? Who else would be standing there? I stood up and licked my dried up lips. Yeah, Olia, it's so funny. The silhouette was unmoving. It was enveloped in softly by the curtains, as if there was a thick layer of darkness there, not a human being. I reached toward the curtains. But beat my heart. The wind sang in the field with the chorus of voices. For a second there, I wanted to return to the bed, just lie down and watch the person behind the curtain, knowing full well they were looking back at me. They were looking without blinking, waiting for me to fall asleep. Plastic rings rustled against the holder when I pulled open the curtains. I gotcha! Oh, you got. Okay, well, whatever the case. Creepy broadcasts. Got a choice to make. Search or set? Which one? Yeah, no, we're gonna bully Olia. Sorry. The picture finally cleared up. But the moment I rejoiced at finding the weird signal again, the TV started coughing, a voice barely coming through the cacophony. He was often seen at the moment when small snowy hills were lined up on the screen, pierced with rickety crosses, and a male voice was narrating with a slow, mournful voice. It was a pitch black night at the cemetery. In that fateful dark time, little Senya met her fate at the face of a monstrous thicket dweller. The locals called him none other than the Forest Master. I froze and did my best not to move, as if by doing that I would scare away the narrator. I listened closely to his every word. The beast dealt with the helpless girl in a masterful manner. The camera panned across the snow with something black spilled over it, looking for ragged pieces of cloth that were thrown around all over the place. I didn't want to think whether Senya's remains were wrapped in there, so I shut my eyes without thinking. The voice continued. Wolves are rare guests in these parts. Here's what Tamara, the old woman that lives in the nearby crypt, had to say. Close-up shot of the face of an old homeless woman, weary from life and alcohol abuse, rattled on the screen. Yes, such a fearsome beast it is, worse than the rising dead. The old woman spattered saliva all over the rectangular mic. And the stink, it's like. The rest of her comparison was swallowed up by the sound of a horn. I've never felt anything like that. It was just standing there, yes, right where you stand, Boyle, and pierced me with its eyes right in the middle of day. It was so huge that one with glassy eyes. Obscenities were covered by another beep. You know what they say. If this demon lays its eyes on you, it'll snatch you up, put you into this bag, and you're done. Ha 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 ha. But he won't touch me. Heh heh heh. She likes me, it seems. So they even call me the devil's wench. And it's definitely true. These carnivorous monsters will not touch those who fell the level of forest beasts, going for another innocent child's blood instead. The Forest Master's presence is felt more and more on the outskirts of our country. Torn between believing in what was said and shrugging it away, I decided to record the remaining part of the documentary for some reason. Quickly grabbed the tape that was on the TV and put it into the VCR without even looking at the cover. I pressed record, turned the sound up, and paid attention to the slipping signal. Okay, I'll do my chores after I finish recording, Mom. Edit that out. It's not called the Forest's Master for nothing. All of the animals obey it, be they hairy or feathery. They're all precursors for its appearance. If you hear howls in the distance, then it most likely knows where you live. If you find animal prints all over your doorstep and birds watching you from the trees, you better hide. It's already coming for you. And if you wake up at night and see a pair of eyes in your window, then soon, then soon, then soon, then soon, then soon, then soon. Ah, jump scare. Gee whiz, you got me there, buddy. It's a goat! Hey there! TV suddenly went mad and looped the last word over and over, piercing my ears. Oh, it's such a silly goat. I got goosebumps all over my spine. Tape ended and I was rewinding to the beginning. Sound of rustling tape reminded me of leaves in the wind and the low howl of the beast. I woke up from my stupor and pressed the button. The VCR ejected the tape for a moment. I thought it was stained with saliva, but it was just the light from the chandelier making the black plastic glossy. Then I saw the cover. Oops, I recorded it over Peter Pan. Yeah, leaving your room, put the tape. I had the tape alongside the mitten at the exact moment Mom peeked into my room. Enough playing around. It's your first day of school tomorrow. Go to bed and you should sleep properly. You don't want to be teased for being sleepy, right? Adults think everything is so simple, as if sound sleep would ensure my classmates would like me. Covered myself with a blanket up to my neck and listened to the house humming to something invisible rustling in the corners. My inner voice had a question for me. Do I want to hear that mysterious flute again? Yes or no? Of course you do. That was a wondrous performance, Antone. Maybe it's just a part of growing up, and I can't fully understand my own desires. Forest wailed behind the barrier that was my walls. Some ethereal entity wandered the fields. Branches shook as if calling for me. The wind howled on in the night. My thoughts were like annoying flies that entered my head before becoming weak and tangled. I didn't notice how I fell into the slumber. Alright, guys, well, that's the end of episode 1. That is the end of the video for today. I would like to say this is a fun game. This is a real blast, but holy crap, that took a while to record. Annabelle, I'm sorry I'm giving you such a tough project to edit. I'll see you guys in the next video.